Hello, everyone. I hope that you all had a fantastic weekend and that you're staying healthy and starting the week off on a good note. The purpose of today's video is to run through some global feedback based on the patterns that I saw or have seen in your portfolio assignments. And I realized that on the calendar it says that the final draft of that is due tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and post that assignment link, but you'll have until Wednesday at midnight to submit. So if you feel good about it and you want to just make a few tweaks, you're more than welcome to turn it in tonight. However, if you do need that extra time, it's not actually going to be due until Wednesday, the 29th. So the first thing that I want to say is that you all did a fantastic job in your initial attempt at kind of understanding the different conventions of this genre, in meeting the needs of your intended audiences, your multiple audiences, as well as thinking about the different purposes associated with all of these texts. And I really, really appreciate the amount of feedback that you gave one another. I thought your feedback was informed, and that you read one another's work with a critical eye and a rhetorical perspective. And your feedback was given in the spirit of just really helping one another. So I really, really appreciated both your comments and the work that you put into all of these emails. So what I have here are several different rubric categories with bulleted points underneath. And what I try to do is find features that apply to all of these different contexts. And then the bullet points underneath are the different ways in which you might meet this criteria, right? Because it might look different in a letter to an administrator versus a letter to a student, and also depending on the context. So I do want to kind of see you meeting the criteria of each of these categories, but there are different ways in which to fulfill it. And really, those are going to be rhetorical choices that you make depending on the context that you have created and the intended audience of that particular email. So we're going to start with one that I saw everyone doing and fulfilling to a certain extent, which is you acknowledging your audience's concerns, values, feelings, and or beliefs. And again, what this looks like is going to be different depending on who you're writing to. And there are different ways in which to approach this. So you might point out your understanding of an opposing perspective. And this is something that might be useful if you're writing to an administrator, right? Where you might say something along the lines of, I understand that we have limits in our funding, or I understand that I understand the value of having a consistent curriculum, right? Something that kind of shows that you are aware of a perspective other than your own, or that you're just generally aware of the context that you're working within. You might echo your audience's concerns. Generally, a lot of you did a great job with this when you were writing to students and to parents, right? Just kind of letting them know that they had been heard, right? Demonstrating your understanding of your audience's context. This has more to do with maybe giving your student a sense that maybe you understand that they had a tough semester, or you understand that they've been trying, or you understand something specific about what is happening with them. Again, this is just helping that audience really feel heard. And then one thing that I think some of you might consider doing in order to just go maybe one step further, particularly when you're being super firm with a student and have to kind of, let them know that you're not going to be able to grant their request, is beyond just acknowledging their concern, potentially acknowledging and empathizing with their experience or what they're feeling. So beyond saying, I know this has been a challenging semester for you. I understand that you're disappointed about your grade, or something along those lines. That can be a nice piece to add to show, I'm here with you. Unfortunately, here's the situation. And I saw a lot of you doing this one, recognizing what the student or parent has done. I really, appreciated some of you mentioned in your emails to parents. It's really great to see a parent reaching out and being on top of their students' academics or their child's academics. Um, and that perspective, I think, is so important because it really diffuses potential antagonism or conflict or tension that a parent might be anticipating in this situation. All right, so this next category, I thought you all did a really, really great job here. The idea that you're supporting what you're saying with examples, and that you're providing a clear reasoning for whatever your position or stance is, right? So I felt like everyone did a nice job maintaining a clear position or stance. I didn't feel like anyone was really wavering. You all did a great job providing specific examples of behavior and helping your readers see why you were responding the way you were responding. I think with the administrator, some of you might have gone a little bit further with this, potentially maybe referencing your own understanding of best practices. And that doesn't mean that you're, saying that you know more as much as like, here's what I value, here's what I think. And then kind of adding in that logical reasoning in order to help your reader understand why your stance is what it is. And then I saw a lot of you referencing your syllabi, course materials, when talking with parents, when writing to parents and students. So really nice job overall with that category. I would say that the category that I would like to see the most improvement on is going to be tone, and not because all of you weren't thinking rhetorically and considering your audience. I saw all of you doing that in so many ways, but only because your audience is likely going to have a large stake in whatever it is you're speaking about, and sometimes that can make the situation delicate or tense. And if you can maintain a stance while still being aware of your audience's needs, then you're going to be the most effective that way. So I have a few quick suggestions regarding tone. One of the things you all did a really nice job of was pointing to specific behaviors in students, and I think that is always a really good way to show that you're paying attention and aware of the situation. But one thing you do want to do, you want to kind of make sure you avoid, in general, is making too many you statements, because that language can sometimes come across as accusatory. And this is by no means a diehard rule. So if you have a couple of you statements in your email, that's totally fine. But for some of you, I saw some kind of repetition of you didn't do this, you didn't do that. And that can potentially make our audience shut down, particularly when we're dealing with students, right? So maybe thinking about how you frame those statements. I offered you the opportunity to do this and I never heard from you. Just thinking about how that like really small change might impact the message that you are offering your student. Along the same lines, I would avoid that same kind of repetitive listing when you're speaking to parents about student behavior, right? So you might point to specific behaviors, but I would be careful of that kind of repetition of they did this and then they did this and then they did this, right? And maybe thinking about how you could intersperse I statements, right? So maybe having, this happened and here's how I tried to address it, or this is what I was attempting to do, or I'm trying to figure out what's going on. That can just be really effective in creating a tone that is a little bit more reflective and less, um, again, accusatory. And then avoid making statements that are dismissive of your audience's perspective or concerns. I didn't see any sort of issue with this, but I think anytime you're looking over an email or a message, just being aware that what you assume um, and believe in and value might be different than what your audience assumes and believes in and values, particularly when writing to administrators, just being aware that there might be a different perspective on the curriculum and on the canon, um, and thinking about that as you shape your message. And kind of moving more toward some of the emails towards administrators, I think it's going to be important as, new teachers, that you are able to show an awareness of your position. And as a first year teacher, um, fortunately, you might not be in a position where you can make demands. And that doesn't mean that you can't ask for things, and that doesn't mean that you can't strategize and think about how you can advocate for change. But with that initial email, I would say you're really more or less just kind of, trying to show, what it is that you are hoping for, and then sort of seeing what kind of conversation that leads to, right? I do think that your first year as a teacher, a lot of it is going to be about getting the lay of the land and figuring out how your current context aligns with your values as a teacher, and then how you might go about making them align to a greater extent. But yeah, so maybe thinking about how you can, um, you know, send a message of, like, I would like to see this change, um, without coming across as entitled to that change. And that's just going to be really important in terms of building relationships with your colleagues as well as administrators. So the only other two pieces that I have here are ones that I saw a lot of you doing very well. So I'm going to just run through them quickly. Ending on a proactive, solution-oriented note. So thinking about what you can do for the student or the parent, or the administrator in this situation, right? Like, here is what I can do for you. For a student, that might be, I can't change your grade, but I would be willing to have a conversation with you about strategies. For a parent, it might be, I can't change your student's grade, but I'd be happy to have a conversation with you about strategies. And then for an administrator, here is what I'm looking for, and here's what I have already done, and I would love to talk about this. And that ties really nicely into flexibility and inviting dialogue in. So you do want to make sure that you're not just ending on this note of, that is my final answer, or this is my final demand, but I am willing to have a conversation with you. With students, you're not necessarily saying, I'm willing to allow you to negotiate for a grade, as much as I am willing to talk to you about why this happened. And there is a way to kind of to allow for that conversation without allowing for them to think that they can change your mind about something that you aren't going to change your mind about. So maybe thinking about, I think a lot of you did a good job of maintaining that stance, but allowing some room for conversation on some level. And then the final piece is just really making sure that everything is, tied up in terms of proofreading and grammar and spelling. I think most of you did a really, really great job with this category, so I'm not nearly concerned about this particular one. There we go. So in general, these notes tend to be pretty nuanced, in that I'm not expecting you to make huge revisions. I don't think anyone needs to make huge revisions, as much as maybe just going back and seeing if there are ways you can make some tiny tweaks in order to continue to build on the effectiveness of what you've already created. But in general, I was seeing really great things, and this in a lot of ways is just a reminder of what a lot of you are already doing. Okay.